channel. I hope that you're doing well. Welcome to another video and welcome back to an unhaul. I feel like I haven't done an unhaul in so long, and it has been a decently good amount of time, but I do have 4-ish stacks of books here that have got to go. They've got to go. Either I have read and DNF'd them, or read them, didn't feel like they were good enough to keep on my shelves, or I read a book by this author and don't want to keep any more, or some things I've just decided that I'm not interested in anymore in regards to my reading taste over the last year, and I'm just being like super honest with myself, and I think that that's important too, because the bookshelves are always overflowing, and I don't need to keep books that I know that I'm not going to read. I will be donating all of these to a local bookstore that I used to work at. They're always in need of new and, relatively popular books, so I'm gonna go take those over there as soon as I'm done filming this video. But I did want to just share with you some of the books I'm getting rid of. Well, all the books I'm getting rid of, because I don't think there's anything here that's not represented, So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, I don't think I'm missing any here, but let's talk about a whole format of books that I'm just deciding that I don't want to read anymore, except for a few exceptions here and there. There are a few series that I definitely want to continue in, but a lot of these I'm just not reaching for, so it's time to let them go, and that is graphic novels and manga. It's been a long time coming. It's been years in the making for me to finally make this decision, but some of these graphic novel and manga series have been on my shelves and on my series list for almost 4 years, with me having no intention of picking them back up. So why am I keeping them? Why do I continue to buy them? And why am I putting myself in a position to have more unread TBR books on my shelves with like literally no intention of picking them up? So the first one I did read, this is Orange Collection 2 or Collection 1. I read Collection 2 and I didn't enjoy it, so I didn't feel like keeping it on my shelves. Spy Family is another one that I read and I liked, but I don't see myself continuing on this very, very, very long series. Plus the manga for this is relatively expensive when I think about like how many volumes I need to buy, so this is not one that I want to invest my time and money into. Although if I ever decide to pick it up, I can always pick it up through my library, and that goes for any of the books that I have not read that I'm deciding to get rid of. If I decide someday out of the blue that I would like to continue the series or read more from this format, I can always do it through my library or on Libby, ebook, whatever the case may be. One that I didn't ever get around to reading, and that is Death Note Volume 1, the Black Editions. I think these are gorgeous and stunning, but I have not reached for it, and I've owned this book for 3 years, and it's just time to say goodbye. All right, the next couple here I have read and really enjoyed. I just don't see the need to keep it on my shelves. The first one being The Magic Fish by Trung Le Nguyen. I read this one maybe in 2022 when I was doing the Reading the Rainbow that I did every June, and I really enjoyed this one. It's a great coming-of-age story. I thought it was really cute, but I don't need to keep it. Also, the art style in here is absolutely stunning, and I know that somebody will find a lot of joy in this. Up next, we have The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse by Charlie Mackey. I picked this up when it was all the rage in 2021 maybe, and I really enjoyed it. It's a great wholesome read. It definitely brought some tears to my eyes, but it's not something I need to keep on my shelves. This next one is a little bit tough for me to get rid of, but the reality is I'm not going to reread it. This was a gift from Sterling, and I'm so grateful that he gifted this to me, but that is Nubia, the Real One by Ella McKinney and Robin Smith. It is Nubia. She is a superhero, but she's a black superhero. We don't see that very often. I think the representation is fantastic. I just don't need to keep it, and I'm sure there's somebody out there that's going to pick this up and find so much healing and value in this that I think that it deserves to be in the hands of somebody else. Another one that I enjoyed, this is Bingo Love. This is by T. Franklin, Joy St-Onge, and Joy San. This is a black love story about 2 older people. It's also queer, and I loved it. I thought it was great. It's so cute. It's so wholesome. But again, I'm not going to reread it. The next one that I'm getting rid of is a bit of a sore spot for me, because I did really enjoy the first 3 volumes that I read. In fact, I gave them all 5 stars. I really like the series, but the 4th volume has been on my shelves again for about 3 years, and I have not been inclined to pick it up. And I don't want to have to reread the series in order to read the rest. And that is Saga by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. I really enjoyed the volumes that I read. I read volumes 1 through 3. I had a great time with them. They're definitely different. They broadened my horizons back when I wasn't reading a lot of fantasy and sci-fi. And I think that at the time it was perfect for what I wanted to read, and now it's just not something that I'm reaching for, gravitating towards, excited to pick up. So it's time to let these go, and I know that these will fly off the shelves there. Everyone is always looking for these graphic novels in that bookstore, and having 4 back-to-back volumes I think will be a great value adder to the store and to whoever decides to pick them up. But this one is a little sad to say I'm letting go of. Let's talk about 2 that I never actually read. I think the first one I picked up used at the bookstore, and the second one I think I bought with my own money thinking, oh my gosh, I'm gonna love this series, and then never got around to reading either volume, and that is Monstrous. I have volume 1 and volume 2. They are gorgeous. They're stunning. The art style in here is absolutely gorgeous. But every time I've heard people talk about this graphic novel series, they've said something along the lines of it's very confusing, very high fantasy, definitely something that you need to sit down and like put your mind to, and every single time that's put me off, and so I've never picked them up. I know I've heard so many great things about this series. It's just not one that I'm inclined to pick up, so I am going to let it go. All right, another series that I picked up, I think all of these were used possibly, and that is Lumberjanes by who is this by? Brian Stevenson's, maybe? I don't know. It's only their last names on the front here, so I don't actually know who the authors of this are, but I did read volume 1 and I really enjoyed it. It's like a more younger, almost middle grade graphic novel series. I don't know if that continues throughout the rest of the series, but that's what it gave me the vibes of in the first book, and it was fun. It was cute. It was wholesome. This is a very long series though, and I don't see myself ever picking up books or volumes 2 and 3. Again, had them on my shelf for 3 years, only read volume 1, haven't picked up the rest. It's time for them to go. Same goes for Paper Girls by Brian K. Vaughan, and who else wrote this? They really should put their names on the front. This is Cliff Chang, Matt Wilson, and Jared K. Fletcher. I read volume 1. I enjoyed it. I had every intention of getting around to volume 2. At this point, I have to reread volume 1 to get to volume 2. I have no interest, so I'm going to let this go. Then I have Fine Print. This is one that I was gifted. I have no intention of picking it up. I don't want to read it. It's not something that I think I have interested in now. It does seem cool. The art style in here is very awesome, and I believe this is queer. It's just not something that I want to read now. Another one that feels a little sacrilegious to give away because I haven't read both of these, and one of them is a special edition, and that is Extraordinary by V.E. Schwab and the Shades of Magic Steel Prince graphic novel. They both are parts of V.E. Schwab's series. This one's part of the Vicious series, and this one's part of the Shades of Magic series. I don't know why that was so hard. It's literally on the front. I have no intentions of picking either one of these up. And again, the art style, especially in Extraordinary, is super cool. I just don't want to read it. And again, I've had it on my shelves since it was released. That was in 2021. Since 2021, I've had this on my shelves, and I just don't want it. It is signed by the author. It's a really cool edition. It's Owl Crate special edition, I believe. I like it, but I don't need to keep it. And finally, for graphic novels, we have The Tea Dragon Festival by Kay O'Neill. This is one that I owned the first book in a small paperback. Then I bought the second one in a large, hardcover. And then the third one I read on my Kindle, and I just don't need to keep it. I thought the series was great. I did finish it. I did really enjoy it. The first and third ones are my favorite. The second one I didn't love as much, but I really enjoyed the series as a whole. I just don't need to keep it on my shelves. All right, I think that's it for graphic novels, manga, and things of that nature. Let's move into most of these I've read. Some of them I haven't, but most of these I've read. Let's talk about it. So we have a few Swoony Readers book club picks that I just didn't enjoy. We have The Reunion by Megan Quinn. We read this as a group, and as a group we did not like it. Same goes for Be Still My Heart by Emily McIntyre and Savannah Miller. This one was a bummer because we were looking forward to this book and it just did not hit the way it was supposed to hit. And I think that there was maybe one person that enjoyed it and everyone else was just like, wow, that was an experience that I never want to experience again. So this one is going bye-bye. Funny enough, I actually have 2 editions of Be Still My Heart by Emily McIntyre and Savannah Miller. I got one in Amazon. It was damaged. They sent me another one, told me not to return the second one, so I have 2. They're both going. Another Swoony Readers pick, we have Triple Duty Bodyguards by Lily Gold. If you know the story behind this one, it's even more disappointing for me than I expected because this was my pick. It was a July pick. July is my birthday month. I was allowed to pick a Why Choose book that I was so excited for everyone to read, and it was such a flop. So I don't even want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. I have a few books from this month that I'm DNFing and getting rid of. So let's talk about that. The first one is going to shock some people, or maybe not. Maybe not. I have definitely heard people say that I might not enjoy this one, and some people that really absolutely loved it. And that is What the River Knows by Isabella Banez. I read this, a good chunk of this. I think I got over 60%, and I was bored. I did not have a good time with this book. I didn't like the writing. I didn't like the characters. The chemistry was not there for me, and this is not a series that I want to continue. I do have another special edition copy in storage somewhere that if a friend still wants it, I will definitely send it their way, but I don't need the Fairy Loot edition, and I definitely don't need 2 copies since I DNF'd the book. So those are going. Okay, this next one of them I have read and DNF'd. The other one is the next book in the series that I do not want to read, and that's being Mischief Night and Hallowed Eve by Delaney Foster. One of these was a gift, I believe, from a friend. Yes, that I'm sad that I'm getting rid of, but I just didn't care for the writing or the storyline or some of the things that were talked about in this book that just rubbed me the wrong way, The writing was fine. it was a very fast-paced read, but it wasn't something that was super engaging, something that I kept thinking about wanting to pick up. These are also eyeball reads, and I find that when I read something physically, I'm much more harsh on my ratings and my experience than if I was reading it with an audiobook. And that just happens to fall into the category of ones I didn't love. So I'm assuming if I didn't love this one, there's no reason for me to keep this one. So I'm getting rid of both of them. Okay, let's talk about another author in tandem. I've read 2 of these. I DNF'd one. I read the other one to completion. I didn't enjoy them, so I have 2 more on my shelves that I'm getting rid of. The ones that I actually tried to read and read were Always Been You by QB Tyler and Love Unexpected. Both of these are signed and personalized. In fact, all of these are signed and personalized to me because I met QB Tyler at CME LitCon the first year that I went. I didn't love them. This one I DNF'd. The way that she was talking about her stepbrother, I don't know. It just didn't. No, thank you. I have read taboo romances that have the stepbrother, stepsister trope. Loved them. This one did not work for me. This one was a stepdaughter romance, and I read it. I gave it 3 stars. It wasn't bad, it just wasn't my favorite. And then I have these 2 on my shelves that I have not given a try, but I've read now 4 of QB Tyler's books at this point, not giving anything more than 3 stars. I just don't think that she's the author for me, and so unfortunately I'm going to DNF these. Hopefully somebody will enjoy them. They're signed, personalized, but signed. All right, there are a few more books here that I have read and not enjoyed, so let's kind of talk about them in tandem. I feel like there's quite a few here actually that I'm getting rid of that I have tried and maybe DNF'd or didn't really love, and so I just don't feel the need to keep them. Let's see if I can get them all here without doing too much. All right, okay, hold on. There's a lot of them. More than I was expecting. Oh, I found another graphic novel. This is The Prince and the Dressmaker by Jen Wang. I read this one, I think during that same video where I was reading The Rainbow. Really enjoyed it, had a great time. It's a fantastic LGBTQI plus graphic novel. I just don't need to keep it. Let's talk about the ones that I've read, and then I can talk about the ones that I haven't, and then we can wrap this video up. The first one is going to be Sadie Rose. I've read 3 books this year by this author and 3 books that I didn't love, 1 that I DNF'd. So let's go ahead and talk about that. We have Love Interrupted. I was gifted this by the author as a early review copy, and I liked it. I didn't love it, so I'm gonna get rid of it. Then we have Asunder by Sadie Rose, the second book in her series that I don't remember the name of, The Dome. I read books 1 and 2. I liked them, didn't love them, don't need to keep it. And I DNF'd Writer by Sadie Rose. I didn't like the writing style in this one, so I didn't feel like I wanted to continue with it. Again, it was an eyeball read. Actually, all of her books are, and it was harder for me to get into this one than the other ones, which is such a shame because I love this author. She's so sweet. She's so kind. I just didn't care for this book. So it's unfortunate, but it happens. Okay. Moving on, we have Without Merit by Colleen Hoover. This is the first Colleen Hoover I think I've given less than 4 stars. I just didn't like this book. It was weird, it was strange, it was an experience that I didn't think I needed, and overall I just didn't like the book. I feel like I've kind of grown out of my Colleen Hoover love, and I don't really reach for her books as often as I used to. And this happens to be one that I picked up on a random number generator for my TBR, and I read it. I just didn't love it, so we're getting rid of it. A book that was so disappointing for me is The Fire Between High and Low by Brittany C. Cherry. I read the first book in this series and really enjoyed it, and then I DNF'd this one. Something about the writing between the 2 characters, the chemistry was off, and I just didn't like the pacing of the story, which is interesting because I read The Coldest Winter by this author for the Swoony Readers Book Club pick, I think for January or February, and we all didn't like this one. So this is one that I'm also getting rid of. I didn't have a great time with it. I mean, I didn't dislike this one as much as the other hosts did. I think I had the highest rating of everyone by the time the live show was over, but it still wasn't one that I absolutely loved. And then reading another book by this author and then immediately DNFing it was pretty disappointing, to say the least. Another one that I DNF'd was Dom and Becca by Willow Winter, which will lead me into a bunch more of her books in just a second, but I read this one with an audiobook, so I gave it every chance for it to be good. I think I got maybe 4 chapters in and knew immediately that this was not going to be the book for me. The writing style, the way that this male main character talked about women and to this woman, absolutely the fuck not. I hated it so much. It was not a book for me, and I wish I could scrub it from my brain because I still think about the line that made me DNF this book all the time, and just no. Another DNF for me, actually I have a few more DNFs, which is so sad. We have Cleat Cute by Meryl Wilsner. I read a good chunk of this. I think I got about 60 to 65% into this one, and I just wasn't caring about the story. It wasn't that it was bad. It wasn't that it was bad writing. I actually really love female sports romances. I think they're fantastic. This one just wasn't exciting for me to read. And I feel like if I give you 60% and I'm still not engaged, why? Why am I continuing to read it? So I did put that one down. This next DNF hurts every part of my body, every part of my soul, because I really wanted to love it. I really wanted to love it. And that is Anastasia by Sophie Lark. It was such a disappointing DNF because I thought this was going to be the best thing that Sophie Lark has ever published. And look at the length of this behemoth. I got a good chunk of the way through too. I would say probably 200 pages into this big baby, almost 300 pages, I think, because I was like a good chunk of the way through. And I was so boring. The fantasy was light. The romance was non-existent, and overall I just did not have a good time reading this story, which is such a bummer because I wanted to love it so badly and it just didn't work for me. This is her first fantasy release, and I feel like it showed, and it was thick. It didn't need to be that thick. It could have been cooled down and I probably would have enjoyed it more, but alas, it happens. Alright, I have one more DNF, one more that I've read in full, and a few books that I have not read, so those ones will be a breeze. But the first one is The City of Stardust by Georgia Summers. I was so disappointed that I didn't like this book, and it's because this cover is absolutely fucking stunning. It's so gorgeous. It gives Valaris vibes through and through, but this book was so boring. And honestly, after seeing the Goodreads reviews, or the average Goodreads rating for this one, I was not anticipating it to be the best thing since sliced bread, but let me tell you, I was so bored that I wanted to cry. Like, I was bored to tears, literally. I was expecting so much more out of this story. Again, the fantasy wasn't really fantasying. The setting and the pacing was so strange, and overall, it just didn't work for me, so I did DNF this one. Let's talk about a book I should have DNF'd, because I knew from pretty early on this book wasn't going to be one that I loved, which is such a disappointment because everyone loved this book. Everybody loved this book, including one of my best friends. She adores this book, and I just didn't like it as much as everyone else thought I was going to. And that is 7 Days in June by T.L. Williams. Don't crucify me at the stake, please. I just didn't care for the story. I found it to be dry and boring. That's like a theme for me. If I think a book is boring, like, that's a big, 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 loss in its book, because I am pretty easy to please, I feel like, for the most part, but God, I just didn't care. I just didn't care. And I have one instance where I remember thinking, oh, this is gonna be good. And then it just fell downhill, and it never stopped. And unfortunately, I didn't love it as much as I wanted to. That being said, this isn't a terrible rating for me. I think I gave it 3 stars, but I was expecting this to be a 5-star new favorite. And so for it to be that disappointing, there's no need for me to keep it. All right, let's quickly run through the books I will have not read and I will not be keeping. All of these are Owl Crate Junior books that I got in my last couple of Owl Crate Junior boxes since I stopped being a rep for Owl Crate. And I just don't see myself ever picking these up, so I'm going to let them go. And then I have a few more other books. But we have The Spirit Glass by Ratani Chokshi. No One Leaves the Castle by Christopher Healy. Rayleigh Man in the Company of Monsters. This is by Shannon Smart, which I've heard of a lot of these authors. I just don't want to read them. No Place Like Home by Lynn S. Nguyen. And then Galaxy Jones and the Space Pirates by Brianna McDonald. Again, they sound really cute. I think that the bookstore that I'm taking these will really enjoy them because they are all like newer hardcover middle grades that I'm sure kids will enjoy. It just wasn't something that I wanted to keep on my shelves. This one hurts because the book is so gorgeous. It's beautiful, but 2 of my friends have read it. One hated it, one didn't really love it, but some of the things that were told to me about this book made me immediately put it on my unhaul pile without even reading it, and it's a special edition, so that's saying a lot, and that is Starling House by Alex E. Harrow. No, thank you. And the reason I'm so upset is because this has a clear dust jacket, which I think is one of the most beautiful choices for special editions. I just don't want to read this book. The things that it were compared to have no interest in my heart to ever pick up again, so this is an absolute no for me. Speaking of this bookstore that I'm going to, I picked up 2 books the last time that I was there that I don't know why I picked them up. We have Rapture's Edge by J.T. Gessinger. I know why I picked this up because I wanted to read more from this author. This is like the 3rd book in a series. Girl, you probably should have thought about that before you paid your hard-earned money for this book. I don't know why I did that. Then again, Never Never by Colleen Hoover and Taryn Fisher. This is part 3. I could just buy the full bind up if I really wanted to read this. Why did I do this? I don't know. Those ones are going in the trash. The next 10 books that I'm unhauling, I have not read them, but we talked about this author just a little while ago, and the writing in that first book turned me off so much that I decided to unhaul every other book that I owned. Granted, I bought these all at that bookstore. They came in like a little bundle, and if you know anything about Willow Winters, she has like a color changing series. Well, not series, but she categorizes all of her books into like a color group, And by that color group, you can tell what kind of book it's going to be. And then you have like the numbers in the color groups, and you can read them in that order, I think. And so when I was there were these 11, because I have the first book somewhere in the stack. There were the first 11 books in the color changing series, and after reading that first one and disliking it so much, I was like, yeah, absolutely no way, these have to go. So here are the other 10 that I have in my hands. Is that correct math? I'm sorry, it was 10 in total, because I don't know how to read my books. 10 in total, and these are 9 sitting here. And I'm just not interested in them. So I'll go through them really quickly. These are the discrete names. I don't remember what the actual names are, but we have Gio and Grace, Kate and Olivia, Anthony and Catherine, Tommy and Tonya, Kane and Ava, Vince and Elle, Joseph and Lily, Isaac and Katina, and Lucian and Dahlia. I don't know if the book names are inside. Oh yeah. So if you go like 2 more pages in, then you can see what the books are. This one is Bought, and these are all part of the Discreet series. No, thank you. I will gladly give those right back to the bookstore, and hopefully somebody else will pick them up and love them. It's just not going to be me. Alrighty, friends, that is everything. All the books I'm unhauling in this section. It's like I said, it's been a while since I've unhauled, and I feel like I've been doing pretty good about unhauling books I don't love. But I felt like since it's been almost a year since I've done an unhaul, that this would be a bigger stack. But obviously, the books that I have been reading have been overall pretty good reads, so I'm happy about that. I'm not upset. However, if I did a video of all the books that I packed away in boxes and put in storage that are no longer in this home, the video would be much, much larger. I'm sitting looking at 2 full boxes of books that I'm getting rid of and putting in storage, so, you know, I could share more, but technically I'm not hauling them. I'm just getting them out of my house for the time being. But that is the end of this video. Let me know if you read any of these books and what you thought of them. Did you have the same thoughts as me? Also, let me know if there's anything that I've unhauled that I haven't read that you feel like I absolutely have to give it a try. Maybe I'll pick it up through my library. And let me know what you feel about unhauling. Do you feel like it's something that's really hard for you? Or do you find joy in unhauling books? Feel free to let me know all of that in the comments below. And if you made it this far into the video and you don't know anything else to comment, leave a thumbs down emoji, just for the overall losses in this video. That is the end, though. I really, really hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave. And of course, leave any comments, questions, suggestions in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!